I'm here with Ben Cowart, the Vice President of Government Affairs for Georgia Retailers, hanging out at the Georgia Organized Crime Conference in Marietta in Atlanta, Kennesaw State.
Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think before we get into anything, what does government affairs mean to people who are just kind of tuning in, wondering what you do and who you are?
So government affairs is really advocacy. So that's our big thing that we do is we advocate on behalf of the retail industry, no matter if it's organized retail crime issues or if it's issues with local ordinances or issues with taxation or what have it. We work with state legislators, local officials to advocate on behalf of the retail industry and affect positive change for the businesses in the state.
Yeah, and I know. So here we've got this conference that they host annually, and they host monthly intel meetings, which is the Georgia Regional Organized Crime Association, but that's supported by Georgia Retailers. What's that kind of relationship look like?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Georgia Retailers and GROC, Georgia Retailers Organized Crime Alliance, is really uniquely positioned. So GROC got founded about 14 years ago when we were working on some legislation. It's a Georgia Smash and Grab Act. And we saw through that kind of partnership and getting all the different retailers together and the loss prevention professionals together, how we were able to effectively advocate for some change into the state law and the benefit of this partnership. So we formed the Georgia Retailers Organized Crime Alliance. And really, Georgia Retailers financially supports GROC's efforts. So our membership dues help to go support GROC's efforts, and it really allows the organization to remain free for people to participate, which fosters that participation and partnership, which is really vital to have an effective ORCA in the state.
Yeah, and I know what you've done and led is giving an opportunity for retailers to be heard by legislators, right? Because a lot of times legislators hear shoplifting and they don't really know what does that mean, how does that affect the consumer, my constituents, but you've helped assemble retail days and some other events for that. What does that mean and how does that work?
Yeah, so it's really just kind of the marriage between GROC and Georgia Retailers is enabled GROC to do some things that maybe other ORCAs that aren't connected with their state retail association would have the opportunity to do. And some of those things where we've been able to present in legislative committees just about what is organized retail crime, the difference between shoplifting, efforts that GROC is doing with partnerships with retailers, partnerships with law enforcement throughout the state, and really what we're doing to combat organized retail crime and help educate these legislators on this very, very important issue to the retail industry.
Yeah, I think a simple question, how important is the retailer's voice in these conversations? And I set that up by saying, a lot of people in the loss prevention space have frustrations with, hey, we can't get this case prosecuted, or the district attorney isn't taking this case, but they do have a voice, and that's what your role is.
Yeah, they do, and I think it's vitally important to have your industry represented with the local officials, with state officials, and down at the state capitol, because with the partnership between us and GROC, I get to hear really boots on the ground stories about what's going on with ORC, how they're combating it, the issues that they're facing, and the challenges that they're facing, and I'm able to better advocate and tell their story down at the Capitol. So that's really what we're doing. We're down there telling their story and advocating for effective policy change that would help them do their jobs better.
Yeah, the voice is so much stronger when it's not just one retailer coming forward saying, hey, we have this problem in one store in one city. You've got a collective voice.
Exactly. You've got the industry as a whole coming together and saying, this is a problem. These are things that we need to do to be addressed. These are issues that our employees are having in stores daily, and it helps build those relationships with lawmakers, with district attorneys, with law enforcement, so that we can all collaborate together, because it takes everyone working together to combat this issue within the state.
And you've had some success in Georgia legislature.
Yes, we have, and really a big thanks to the Attorney General Carr's office. So he got together a group of retailers from the industry and a group of loss prevention people, as well as GROC, and we kind kind of met to talk about what's going on around ORC, what they can do from a state standpoint. And what came out of those meetings was his office asked for some funding to create a new organized retail crime and cyber crime prosecution unit within his office. And it would not have been possible without the support of Governor Kemp and advocating for that funding, and then also the legislature for eventually passing it. But they were awarded $1.41 million to create this new prosecution unit, which will really be statewide prosecutors that can help take some of the workload off of strained local law enforcement, local DAs, and also a vital resource for retailers to bring their loss prevention staff to bring cases to. So it's really something I think that will be extremely beneficial for retailers and law enforcement throughout the state, and it help make a very big impact.
Yeah, Georgia leading the way.
Yes, so it's really exciting.
I got one last curveball for you. So our company obviously trains in investigative interviewing and interrogation, but the podcast is all about communication, which is really your job, is communicating. So if you had just one piece of advice or takeaway for people, how has communication helped you professionally?
I think communication is key to my entire job, and really everyone's. It's taking the time to listen to people, to understand what their challenges are, and then also thinking about your audience when you go in to speak with someone for a meeting or do a presentation, and you got to have your audience in mind, so you're communicating to them what the importance of things are and making it hit home with them.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks.